Cast Iron Pan. This is the Busted Knees and Pretty Trees podcast, and we are back. I am your host, Travis J. White, and I want to thank you all so very much for joining us for yet another fine episode of our Midlife Crisis podcast. Joining me today, as they do every episode, I have with me a disciple of the Master of Fire, Francis Molman, and a tamer of mechanical bulls, punk urban cowboy, Patty Richardson.
Hey there. Hi.
How about that party on Saturday night?
That was pretty fun, dude. I'm happy to say that I rode a bull. Total time, probably 4 seconds within 2 rides.
Hey, that was,
but my
within 2.
thighs hurt for another 3 days.
Ooh, squeezing hard, huh?
I was squeezing as hard as these puppies could squeeze.
We have the most fantastic photograph of you riding that bull.
It is awesome.
And yeah, it looks like it should be in a magazine or a movie.
Yeah.
There's a spotlight on you.
Yeah.
And you're perfectly centered in the spotlight.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
look
awesome.
like a mixture of fear and fun. I think the fun comes from just letting everyone else know that I'm not in fear.
No, you definitely are not.
Yeah.
And you know the third man, come behaved on trail or you'll get a stern talking to. Our ultralight and mobile delicatessen, our trail dad, Brad Greer.
You better believe you'll get a stern talking to.
Yeah, you got to watch out. Don't mess up too bad.
Put you in your place.
So have you gotten any new gear this week? It seems almost like every week Brad's picking up something.
Ain't that for real?
No, I've been heavy searching for hiking boots. Not necessarily for backpacking, but like just everyday hiking kind of boots.
Like work boots?
No, not work boots. Just like when it's snowing, if I'm going to go on a day hike.
Okay.
Because, you get them super muddy. At least around here in the wintertime, it's always wet.
Like
If you go do like a county park day hike. So I want a pair that can just always stay muddy.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it.
That's a good idea, because
Yeah.
sometimes I do when I'm going out to dinner or something and it's like this. I still want to wear a nice pair of, outdoor hiking shoes
Yeah.
or boots.
I've been
or
looking at
something.
Danner boots, and they have some pretty cool looking boots. Some pretty stylish, like I would wear around town.
Is it
kind
more of
boots.
a luxury brand than like a functional brand?
I would say both.
It's
like,
both.
Isn't Danner kind of the old school leather with red string?
Yeah, Danner's
shoestrings?
extremely. Not extremely. That's pretty high end boot for sure.
Is it like a leather boot?
Like
or
think
is
of the
it,
classic brown leather boot with red shoestrings.
I think I know what
That's
you're
a
talking
Danner.
about.
That's like the old school.
Like a
Danner
traditional
boots.
hiking boot.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
There's the News Panther.
Yes,
News
sir.
time.
That's awesome. This is my favorite part.
What do we got this week, Bradley?
Yeah, dude, light us up.
This week I have 2 just kind of random stories that caught my attention, and they're kind of just both interesting in their own ways. First story is a federal court hears oral arguments over a home built in Glacier National Park. So somebody actively recently just built a home in Glacier National Park. We've talked about national park, federal land in holdings where it's private land within a national park or like a BLM, national forest, whatever. And that's what this was. And it was only it was under 2,000 square feet of land, of a parcel of land, and they built a house on it. The land was privately owned prior to Glacier National Park being created. There's roughly 100 in-holdings within Glacier National Park, which is kind of interesting. It's a lot of in-holdings.
That's a lot of in-holdings.
But I think it seemed like Yellowstone was kind of the same way. Like there was a lot of private homes within Yellowstone.
Man.
So I wonder how much they kind of share that. So locals noticed the construction of a home had encroached on a nearby stream. So they alerted it's called the Flathead Conservation District, which has the authority to interpret and enforce the Montana Natural Streambed of Land Preservation Act.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So the big debate is this privately held inholding governed by this Flathead Conservation District, or is it managed and governed by Federal National Park Service.
Here we go again with the just convoluted
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
acts
Talk
and laws.
about what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Flathead Conservation District is in Montana. They're called conservation districts, and they're local units of government that work to fulfill the state's policy to conserve soil, water, and other natural resources.
Okay.
The big thing is they didn't get a permit through the FCD, which is Flathead Conservation District. And I assume, I know I had a friend in Charleston that had to get a permit to put a dock, and you can get to the Atlantic Ocean from it, but it's like a tidal creek off the Atlantic, like off a bay, and his permitting process to get that dock was just insane. The Army Corps of Engineers had to approve his permit, but they make sure that it doesn't affect local wildlife, local fauna, whatever's growing in the water, like seaweed, grasses. They make sure it's not going to disrupt anything.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is kind of the same thing with this act from Montana to preserve local waterways and everything.
You got to go through a lot of shit if you want to build your house in a beautiful place like that.
Especially in Glacier National Park.
There is a price to pay.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm agreeing with this.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the twist, the M. Night Shyamalan, if you will.
Yeah, this one's, it's a weird one. I don't know. So the FCD has a board of 7 supervisors, 3 full-time staff.
And here's the bureaucracy.
So it's not a big, they have a board that does a vote. So they voted initially that this house needs to be torn down and removed. Then if they want to build a house, they need to apply for a permit.
Oh, I've heard of that happening before.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have the permit in hand, but you have been approved for it, I've heard they'll make you tear that shit down and rebuild it until it is in hand.
Yeah.
Dang.
So the debate centers around 2 key questions: whether the property owners secured the required state permits to build their house, and whether the state conservation district that ordered the removal has the legal power to mandate that it be removed. They've both been kind of suing back and forth. So the FCD is arguing that John and Stacy Ambler, which are the couple that built this home, violated Montana's Natural Streambed and Land Protection Act by constructing the home near the creek without a permit. And I have a picture here showing the house on the creek.
Yeah.
And it's literally, it looks like it's right on this creek.
It's pretty, yeah. It's very picturesque right where that house is.
Yeah.
They got this big creek flowing right through there.
It might be 10 feet from the creek.
That would be very ridiculous.
Yeah. So this is kind of what it boils down to, is whether the state needs to give them permission to build this house. But what's weird is you would think Glacier National Park, if it's on them, because that's kind of the whole battle, is who has the jurisdiction. Is it federal or state? But you think the Glacier National Park would also have some kind of permitting process or some kind of study that would need to be done to make sure there's no impact to the local resources.
So they're arguing that the FCD or whatever, that they don't have jurisdiction anyway, so
Correct.
Shut up and
It's
we'll see what Glacier says?
It's a couple different things. It seems like when their lawyer filed a brief, he kind of said, this is federal land, this is not state, doesn't have anything to do with this. But then there's also this private property was established before Glacier National Park, and it was established before this act that the state's saying, so it should not be holden to the act and the national park, because they own this land before that.
Yeah. So this land has been in their family or something like that for generations?
I would imagine not in their family. I would imagine it's been sold.
Oh, okay.
But it's still, as long as a private entity owns it, that's where a lot of the conservation groups come in, and they would try to swoop in and buy that land and donate it to the national park. So it's no longer an in-holding.
Right.
But a lot of times these just people keep buying them, and the government can't buy them.
Oh, I bet they go for...
Are the Amblers just trying to buy time
I think
or
they
something?
Found it
because
I
there's
think they found
no
a
way
loophole.
that the Glacier National Park would say anything other. I mean, to me, like, why would they be like, yeah, by all means?
Yeah, I think they found a loophole because it's like I think the lawyers even say this is a quote unquote a void in the legal system because there's no clear definitive anything saying federal government governs this land or state government. It's just kind of like a void. Nobody knows really who does, even though there is like, what do they call it? Like trial precedents. There's been lawsuits about this many times before, and I think specifically in Yellowstone.
Well, then there is precedence. I mean, isn't that how all law is?
So have they been to court yet?
No, they both sides pleaded their case, and it's going to be one of those trials where the judge just makes a decision.
Yeah.
It's not like a jury trial. So District Court Judge Kathleen DeSoto said she will release a ruling as soon as possible. And as of this recording, I checked right before we started recording, and there's still no ruling.
Ooh.
But this, I think this is like
fascinating.
still pretty new. It's just a couple of days ago.
That could be a game changer in a lot of places
Yeah.
all over the country.
Yeah, I get the amblers. Like, I mean, I get it. They bought it, but there is also, man, what, these guys are dicks.
Yeah.
You know,
Like you could just build like a small little cabin.
yeah, just so you and your wife, you and your family can come out
Yeah.
and see the shit. But
It's not going to
like,
be your
you're just-
primary residence.
You're ruining it for everyone.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look what I have.
Yeah. I'm going to start posting links to these news stories and the show notes. So you guys can go look at these pictures and see what we're talking about. Because they could have gone with a little bit more of a tasteful house. like this is a 2-story, like flat. It looks like one you'd see in a suburb or
It
something.
looks colonial.
Yeah. So the second story is a little more fun, a little more intriguing.
Okay. Well, that was pretty intriguing.
Yeah. I'd never heard of that happening, like somebody trying to build a private residence.
The only time it just pisses me off.
We need to keep an eye on that one because I want to take that one to the end. I'm really interested.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully, Judge
Aileen Cannon.
Kathleen DeSoto.
right.
Hopefully, Judge Kathleen DeSoto makes a decision soon.
Let's move on to this exciting story, I guess.
Backpacks containing $1.1 million of cocaine were discovered in the wilderness near the Canadian border.
Yo.
And when I say backpacks, they're actual like backpacking packs. They look like 70 liter backpacks.
See him right there.
They do
Keeping
kind of have
them,
a little bit of
waterproof
a
there?
Yeah, they do kind of have like a little bit of a tactical style to them.
Yeah.
They're just black.
Yeah. So this was found U.S. Customs and Border Protection assigned to the region near the Canadian border. This is about 100 miles north of Seattle. They discovered these backpacks just on a patrol, and they were weighing 78 pounds. I don't know if that was per
piece?
pack
Yeah,
or
that's-
because I was going to say, like,
Well, I mean, if that thing's filled with just powder, that's going to be a heavy fucking pack, man.
if it's 78 pounds, I was thinking they need to listen to the Busted Knees and Pretty Trees podcast to learn how to cut that weight a little bit.
Yeah, cut it.
So like I said, this happened in Washington, just north of Seattle, and these backpacks were just laying on the ground. Chief Patrol Agent Rosario Pete, he goes by Pete Vasquez, said, "Thanks to the vigilance of the Blaine Sector Border Patrol agents, these dangerous narcotics were prevented from reaching our communities." So,
Hey.
good job to the Blaine Sector Border Patrol agents.
For
Yeah,
just
right.
happening upon them.
yeah.
Nice patrol route.
Yeah.
Great job.
And I feel like it'd be hard to 2 black backpacks in a wilderness area. I feel like they wouldn't stick out very much.
Did they not put them under any bushes?
Maybe they need camo backpacks.
Yeah. They'd still be out there right now.
Don't give them any ideas, Brad. Like,
Brad's aiding and abetting a bunch of cocaine criminals. dude.
Brad's going to get
Cowboys.
arrested. They can find a
Yeah.
bunch of camo backpacks
Well, Brad
with
told
cocaine.
us to do this.
So they immediately turned these over to the DEA. No arrest, no other information's really come out about this. So just keep that in mind if you come across mysterious backpacks in the wilderness. I probably wouldn't mess with them.
Yeah.
No, do not
maybe
touch
call
it.
somebody or just don't even
And just
Get
out
yourself
of
involved.
decency, don't touch people's shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's the News Panther.
Yeah, there he is. Holy crap, dude. That cocaine story was my second favorite of the two because that first one gets me going.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's just
Like the selfishness,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like you said, we've talked about this throughout the last few weeks, and it's always like this other story, and then we end it. Like last week, I think we talked about it, and we at the end, we're like, well, I'm happy now, but let's see what happens, and then I'll be royally let down.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the thing that lets you down. It's just this dickhead couple or whoever move out here, and it's just their national parks like this are just such treasures.
Yeah.
And to think that you are the one that needs
I
to build the
deserve
house
to have a house
right
in this
here,
national park.
In this park. Like
this
what,
pristine
what?
that you have to get a permit to even get into.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
to drive into.
Yes,
There's no
yes.
self-awareness.
I deserve a house.
at all.
No self-awareness.
It's crazy.
Ego, just
Yeah.
ego.
Anyways.
It's really disappointing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some more fun topics.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, the News Panther is bound away. Surely off to prey on the latest outdoor news, drag its corpse back to our studio for Bradley to toss it in some spices and serve us up some juicy journalism for next week's episode.
Nice.
We appreciate you, News Panther. You too, Brad.
Thank you.
So last week, we talked about all the delicious and nutritious meal and snack options an outdoor adventurer can take with them on the trails. The options are far and wide, but this week we want to talk about how we can prepare some of those essential meals. Cooking, some might call it. Of course, when you're packing in everything, as always, weight is a consideration, so we're not exactly bringing the entire camp kitchen with us. Sorry, Patty, that aforementioned cast iron pan is going to weigh you down.
Yes, it does.
So, before we talk about cooking that food, let's talk about how we're going to get that food from point A to point B.
Okay.
Bradley, what kind of considerations would you make doing that?
This is a tough consideration because all of the best foods weigh a lot. You have to take into consideration, like if you're going to buy a snack, normally that's the snack you're going to eat for 5 days. So if that 1 day portion weighs kind of a lot, it's going to be a lot over 5 days.
Yep.
So basically anything that's kind of quote unquote wet, like even granola bars can be kind of heavy. So I like to repack all my food and portion it out by day. Sometimes it makes the packaging better and easier to pack because some of it's clunky. Freeze-dried bags are pretty thick and they're hard to stuff down into a small space.
Yeah.
So if you repackage all that stuff into Ziplocs, it's way easier to pack.
Yeah, you kind of like roll it up.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I do, for me, I like to take the bags that the food comes in and then cut it open and let the air out and then kind of take all the air out and then roll it up. And then I still have the option of using that bag for
because
hydrating that stuff.
That is kind of the hard thing is because those bags, freeze-dried bags, are really good for hydrating your food.
Oh, are they really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like they have you can zip them back up and they're really thick. So you can pour the boiling water straight into your freeze-dried bag and rehydrate your food.
Well, there you go.
That's the ticket. That's one of the. That's
and you can like
I'm still not gonna do it.
like in an emergency or whatever circumstance, you don't actually have to pour boiling water. You could just pour water and rehydrate it and eat it cold. Like it being hot is just to make it taste better.
Yep. Luxury.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, luxury. One good tip is to, if you do repackage from the freeze-dried bag into a Ziploc bag, write the cooking instructions on the Ziploc bag with a Sharpie. Because sometimes I noticed like the Peak freeze-dried, their water amounts and cook times or soaking times are kind of way more similar, whereas Mountain House seems like they vary a lot more, like the amount of water you need and the time to rehydrate.
Yeah.
So, but it's always good to write it on the bag. I mean, you're not losing anything by doing that.
And also, still, I feel if you always go by the recipe, which you should, results still kind of vary sometimes.
I think I usually let it sit for 5 minutes or so longer than what the package says, just to make sure it is rehydrated.
Ditto.
Because it's like chewing styrofoam when it's not fully rehydrated. It's not very good.
I don't mind crunching into a little bit of those biscuits, though, and the biscuits are good.
Portioning out also makes sure it ensures that every day you have enough food. Like you have the same amount of food ready for every day, and you don't have way too much food that you're carrying around the whole trip that you aren't even going to eat.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what I take into consideration when I'm packing out or getting ready to pack my food.
Yeah, I would say I kind of do the same thing. You got me into repackaging. Generally, this is my first time also taking a bear canister, so I was extremely nervous about having that really hard plastic thing that you couldn't bulge out with a little extra.
Yeah.
So I was pretty nervous, and when we started repackaging everything, it just allowed you to have so much extra space. Mm-hmm. And I did end up taking 1 or 2 extra of the old freeze-dried bags that I repackaged from. I just took those and shoved it at the bottom or the side of the bear canister, so I still cooked out of that through my jet boil.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I've never really, I think I'm going to switch it up, but I never really like eating directly out of
the bag.
No, the pot, the jet boil.
Yeah, I never liked that either.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
I just think it's easier.
Because then you have to clean it out.
Well, yeah.
And then you're kind of throwing that stuff out.
That's right.
In the wilderness.
Yeah, and this is just easier just to take back with you. I always keep like one big Ziploc bag, and then every dirty thing just goes right into that,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree.
And it also, it always, in my mind, I feel like this is always going to work out the way I think it will. Because if you're portioning out by day, you should be able to layer your food bag or your bear can by day. But I feel like I still always have to dump all that shit out every single time.
It's such a pain. Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like it's unavoidable.
Yeah. And sometimes it makes sense, like trail mixes can conform to shapes, so you can just pack that in.
Yeah, you're packing
hole.
by shape, not by day.
Yeah. We've kind of talked about food bags, bear cans. Patty, I talk about a little bit about the different types of storage systems you can use for food.
Yeah, then you have the food sack or you have the bear canister, as far as I understand it.
Yeah.
Those are the two kind of main ones that you can buy. You can, if you're not really concerned, you could do a number of different techniques. You could do a shopping bag, as far as I understand it. But in terms of bear safety, in terms of your safety, the bear bag, bear sack, or the food sack, and the bear canister is it. The bear canister, we've talked about it plenty of times on this.
Because normally, if you're going backpacking in the wilderness, chances are there's going to be bears, whether it's black bears, grizzlies, brown bears. Like there's going to be bears in that area.
Yeah, and you want to do something to not only protect you at the end of the night with the bear canister or the food sack. The food sack you would just hang in a tree like everybody does, everybody's known, or the bear canister, something you tuck between rocks or try to kind of bury it, something along those lines. But that's to keep you safe and the bear safe. If the bear starts getting into human food, inevitably that bear starts coming closer and closer to humans, and they'll euthanize it.
Leave no trace. Like, you don't want them to know you're there,
that's right.
At all, or ever have been. If you can, I mean, they know.
So the bear canister is pretty much just a hard plastic tub. I got the clear one. I can't remember the name of the brand.
Bear Vault?
Bear Vault is the brand. Yes, sir. But most national parks that require these things, when you're signing up, when you're getting your permits for the backcountry, if you don't have one, they're going to give you this black oblong shaped just thing that you then have to put into your pack. Yep. So for us, or for me, it was better for me to get my own bear canister way ahead of time, because I cannot tell you how many times I practiced packing my pack with this thing.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, I moved everything around. I probably put things in and back out close to 50 times before I kind of got to a point where I was like, this works. You know, it was pretty cool once I got it, but what a pain in the butt.
Yeah, because you got to think it's not only food that goes in there, it's anything that smells, that has a scent to it.
That's
you
right.
have to get in there, including your cooking gear, your cookware, your dishes.
Yep. Everything that has any sort of scent on it goes in that bear canister.
That's also a reason why I don't like to use my cup for putting food in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so the bear canister makes it, I think one of the big like benefits of it is that it makes it easy at the end of the night to kind of hide away. You don't have to spend your time tying knots, although Travis love it. You don't have to spend your time doing that. You don't have to find the right branch and throw it over top. It's just you close it at the end of the night, you store it aside underneath a rock or something like that, and you're good. The food sack, on the other hand, is pretty much like a dry bag. That's
normally
what
what everybody. It's normally just a dry sack.
Yeah,
it's not. There's not a specified like you can't go to REI and search for food sacks.
Right.
It's normally you just use a dry bag.
It's like basically a nylon bag with a rope string on it to pull it tight. The top of it,
or a snap kind of clip handle.
Right. That's right.
Oh, that you can roll up.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to bring some paracord, and you'd have to tie a knot, and then you'd have to chuck that thing over a branch, and you hang it. That's way more for bear hangs.
Yeah, so usually like East Coast, Appalachian Mountains, where there's not grizzlies, you would use like just a dry sack and hang your food overnight.
Yeah, that's right.
A dry sack just to keep it out of the rain, any dew that settles over the night, anything like that.
So it kind of depends on the national park that you go to.
Yeah.
Some national parks, like the Tetons, they require you have the bear canister to store your food or your smelly stuff.
Yeah.
But honestly, like as much as I didn't like the bear canister, and gentlemen, this might be nostalgia, but I still might enjoy it more than a dry sack or whatever we're calling it, the food sack.
Yeah.
I think I still might enjoy it just because of the ease at the end of the night.
Damn.
Dude,
all the hate you've thrown on bear canisters.
I know, but
that's very surprising.
And maybe it is nostalgia, but like you guys said the other day that you enjoyed like that whole but you like being at camp at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I like just not fucking with shit. So like at the end of the night, like just to open up your bear canister and you have everything, you pull it out, and then at the end of it, you close it back up and you take that thing about 95 yards away from your camp and you tuck it into a rock.
It's a weird number you chose, 95 yards.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think it's 100 yards is the rule of thumb.
Oh,
but you
100
chose
yards? I'm just
200 to be safe.
This is a punk
This guy's
backpacking
living on the
podcast.
edge.
We do not conform here. So I think like as of now.
There is a part that I agree with that because you fucking always forget something.
Yeah.
And then you want to go back. But, when you hang, from a tree, you got to go untie it, bring it down, unhook it, search through everybody's stuff.
Yep.
Well, Travis, do you want to go through the process of hanging a bear bag? Like what we mean when we say hang a bear bag?
Yeah.
Because I think this shit's fun as hell, dude. I love this shit.
You guys
That's the fun part. Yeah.
It's annoying as hell, but it's also fun as hell.
It's the fun way to store your food.
Well, lay it on us.
Well, basically, you can do it. You can make a system yourself or whatever, but you basically take 50 feet of paracord, or in the military we call it a 550 cord. It's just this really thin, really strong rope, and it wraps up really nice and tight and small, and you can get long lengths of it.
And it's really strong.
Yeah. So you basically could tie it to a rock or put a rock in a bag and tie that bag to your rope.
And a lot of times with all this like gear you're getting, chances are at some point you're going to get a tiny little mesh bag. There'll be some. And those are perfect to put a rock in, and then tie the 550 cord to that little
Everything
bag.
comes in like a bag.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
you end up with so many little mesh bags. It's crazy, and you'll find one that's perfect for this.
But yeah, you put your little rock in there and put your paracord on that, and you find a tree. Like it could be, depending if you're punk or not. you you should go up to 200 feet away from camp, and you'll find a nice tree. And also, there's going to be places where there's not going to be a bunch of trees, and that's usually where the bear can stuff is.
Like pine trees are hard.
Yeah, they're not going to have really long branches or too many. You just can't get a rock through there.
So what is it like? You want it like 5 feet from the trunk? Like there's some.
I think like ideally, if you could get 10, 15 feet away from the trunk.
Yeah.
On a about 15 feet up. That's the distance you want to find your branch.
Yeah.
And you got to, it's fun to look around,
Oh, yeah.
We got to hang this thing. Let's
That's why I think
find
it's
a
fun.
tree, a good spot with a nice branch where you can actually get a rock through. And once you get it, there's a nice little celebration.
Yeah.
And
that
rock will pull that rope over the branch, and then you tie the other end to your sack.
Yeah, because you kind of think like you want a branch that if a black bear climbs that tree, he can't climb out on that branch. That branch will break, which you'll still get your food if the branch breaks and they both fall to the ground. But that's the idea. Like a bear's not going to try to go out on that branch because it's too small, but it'll hold the weight of your bag.
Little too high to risk it.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this is compelling to me.
Really?
Oh man!
I mean, this is exactly.
That's tinkering. That's tinkering stuff.
It's like you're testing out your throwing arm.
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking like by the time you guys even find this tree in some of the places I've been, I will have already made myself a hot cup of coffee because I'm looking at about 100 seconds. That's what the
like
jet
I said,
boils
it's
do.
not always. It's like there's some places where you're not going to want to do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
'cause
Even
it'd be
still-
too difficult.
Sometimes it's really hard to find a good branch to throw it on.
Yeah, but even still, even if you were in a perfectly branched area, just walking.
You are no fun.
That's a dream. The perfect branched area.
Walking 100 yards in that amount of time that you're walking, I'm already drinking a hot cup of coffee.
You're the
and have my
laziest
10
backpacker
seconds.
I've ever met.
For someone who loves to experience life so much, you are a completely different person when you get to camp.
When I'm backpacking.
You're just like, screw all of it.
Dude,
I'm going in my tent.
I just enjoy. I just want it. I mean, those are amenities. I want my amenities to stay easy. I don't want to make it harder for myself.
I see.
And I'll be the lazy backpacker. That's fine.
But it's part of the.
No, I don't think you're lazy.
It's part of the fun too. Just like, because me and Travis will just go wandering around trying to find the perfect branch.
What's over there?
And then like who can hit it on the first throw?
I
You could think like you're throwing a rock
Yeah,
with
it's good for morale.
You're throwing a rock with like a rope tied to it, and it's getting caught up on all the branches along the way. So some key tips though, because you can, if you're wandering away from camp, like set up or get a dry bag that's a bright color. Because sometimes when you string it up in the trees, it's hard to find the next morning. When the sun's barely up, and you can also hang like little strings of 550 cord on the path to where you hung it.
Yeah.
As long as you remember to grab those cords off the tree on your way back. Just like little tips, because sometimes like you do end up wandering around and thinking, shit, where the hell did I hang that bag?
Oh, yeah,
I don't know
you
where
gotta
the
find
hell
it,
that
too.
bag is.
And it's the only time as an adult you really get to throw a rock out there.
Yeah, and not get in trouble.
All right. So we've talked about how to bring your food out to the campsite, and then we talked about what you can do, what you have to do with what you bring your food out to the campsite, what you do with it. So let's get into the bare bones of this, okay? And I'm going to start with this question. So you're at camp, you have your food sack, or you have your bear canister out. What are you going to use to cook your food with? We talked about food last week. I want to talk about what we're cooking with.
How are we going to cook it?
So, Brad, you want to kick that off?
I have the Jet Boil Mini Mo.
Oh.
And I think like Patty, this is one of the first pieces of gear I ever bought.
Yep.
And I've had it for 10 years now.
Yep.
It weighs 15 ounces, excluding the fuel canister. The cook pot's 1 liter. It's kind of short and stout. Some of the Jet Boils are tall and skinny. This one's short and stout, which I think's better. It's easier to eat out of. It comes with a little plastic cup that snaps onto the bottom of it. I think to protect you from the heat once you take it off the flame, it's hot, and this little cup snaps on. And it's also a cup with measuring lines, so you can measure water. And I don't think I've ever actually used it, though.
I've never used the one.
Yeah, I don't even know where it is. I don't know. But it comes with little stabilizer legs that you snap to your fuel can. It all packs down, like the stove, the fuel can, the legs. You can put it inside the pot, which is very nice. So it's very, very compact. I made an extra insulation sleeve out of thermal bubble wrap, and it's almost like a little koozie that I can help hold the heat in when I'm drinking coffee or if I'm...
Oh, you made that?
Yeah, I made that.
Oh.
Well,
I
there's an insulation sleeve that comes with it.
Oh, okay.
But I made a thermal bubble wrap one. It's basically bubble wrap with like a foil around the outer layers
I see what
of
you're
it.
saying, yeah.
So I made a little cup
Like you put in your car window or something?
in your car window.
You know when it's hot out?
Oh, yeah,
Your
yeah,
windshield?
yeah. Yeah.
Very good, Brad.
So
Very good, Travis.
I did do a little study. I did a trial, and boiling water and then waiting 10 minutes, it's 12 degrees hotter with this sleeve on it than it is without.
Wow.
Look at this guy.
And that's
Holy smokes.
and that's like 200 degrees, I think, is what it stayed at with the sleeve and boiling temp of water. Oh man, I think it's 213.
Did you take
I don't
a
want to
video?
sound like an idiot.
Did you
What's
take a
the boiling
video for
temp
the
water?
audience?
You got to take a video.
Oh yeah, I definitely didn't take a video. Yeah, I think it works pretty good.
Tinkering.
It's pretty simple to make.
My God.
A friend at work just happened to have like some of this thermal bubble wrap, so
Yeah, and the jet boil is like we talked about it last week a little bit. It seems to be like everybody's first thing that you get when you're going to go backpacking.
it's the easiest.
It's the easiest. You know the brand. The brand's sold almost everywhere in the outfitters.
Yep.
There's multiple different selections of, as evidenced by our notes. We each have a jet boil, but of a different style.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's all in one as well. And we talked about it last week as well, where it's 100 seconds you have boiling water.
Yeah.
So it gets hot, and it gets hot fast. It's got a few little neat things on the outside cover. It's a color coded thing where when the water gets hot, it changes color.
I saw that on yours.
Yeah, so that's a neat little thing.
I don't think you had. Did you have that, Brad?
Yeah, mine doesn't do that.
You can buy all sorts of attachments like the French press, the different sorts of funnels or whatever.
And you've got the taller cup, right, Patrick?
So I've got the Jet Boil Flash, which is the same thing. I did like yours more because of how you packed it into your bear canister.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. But yeah, mine's probably 7 inches tall. It's the Jet Boil Flash. I think that's like their flagship product. A little bit taller. Same thing though. Your fuel canister, your leg stands, everything fits inside. It's all in one. Another great thing about Jet Boil too is it's got the ignition switch.
Yeah.
So with the MSR that I just got, thing you still have to carry a lighter because you turn the gas on, you light that gas.
Yep.
Where the Jet Boil has an ignition switch. And for all of you that are nervous about that technology, like going bad after a day or whatever, I have my Jet Boil for about 12 years. And only on this last trip did my, not even the ignition switch, but the little like thing that hangs that gets hot enough to
The igniter.
That gives the spark, right?
Yeah, that gives the spark. That bent in a different direction.
Yeah.
But that was the only time I've ever had any problems with this thing.
Yeah.
But you could bend that back, right? And it would be fine.
It's hard
did
to
it
find.
on
It's
trail.
hard to find the sweet spot
Yeah.
because mine does it.
Yeah.
And you have to find the sweet spot to bend it back to make it work again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make
Or
it
to get
work
that
again.
spark.
And there's an adjustable flame too, right? Like there's a lever where you can turn the flame hot as
Hotter
hot
than
as it can
hell.
go, or
Yep.
like if I'm toasting my little pitas for my charcuterie board,
Yeah.
I can turn the flame down.
Yeah,
a
it's
little.
almost like a flame that you make your creme brulee. You top that thing.
Oh
in.
yeah.
Flamethrower.
Actually, they do get a little bit more powerful.
yeah. So then you have the Mini Mo, I have the Flash. Travie?
I picked up the Jet Boil Mighty Mo,
Mighty Mo.
which is actually, I think, one of the more powerful ones.
Yeah.
And they have Jet Boil. They have a skillet, Like this is
And they
more
have all
for
kinds of shit for that one.
and like a pan and stuff that you can get. But that's more for I'd say light backpacking or like day hiking. You don't want to carry all that stuff on like a big trip, but it might be a little too much when I'm just heating up my anodized aluminum cup.
Yeah, because you just use like a regular, not jet boil cup, right? That you set on top of
it's one that I bought third party.
Not OEM. But they do, I will say real quick, we did mention me and Patty's, our cups like actually click in and lock into our furnace, the jet boil like stove, whereas yours is more of a platform that you can set stuff on top of.
You snap it into a little plastic base that they give you, kind of like a tripod. And then there's little tongs that you kind of that flip up, 3 of them that right above the burner, and then they're wide enough to where you can sit your pan or your skillet or your cup or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it's just in it. Like I said, those arms flip down and it fits inside my cup. Everything does, and I can just stick it in a pouch or do whatever. And I think, Patrick, you said you bought a new something similar to what I
was
bought.
Pretty intrigued by how you had your setup, because I like the idea that the same thing that you were drinking out of, I think, your cup, was also going to be what you were eating out of. And that to me, I think I just said it, the jet boil's great for your starter go. Like, it's just easy. But now that I've been doing this long enough, I want to kind of dive into lowering the weight and getting into a little bit more explorative foods. I talked about last time with like the soups and things. So yeah, I bought the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe 2, which is teensy weensy. I think it weighs 2 ounces, something along those lines. And that just screws right into your fuel canister. And then like you have to kind of set your pot on top or anything else you're going to cook of, like a kettle. One more thing I'll say about the jet boil, and then also like compared to like a pot or like what you're doing, is that because the jet boil gets so hot on the bottom, there's little coils that wrap around like the perimeter of that circle. And those are what gets heated up fast and then start boiling the water from the bottom up. And it's like a pretty decently small surface, so it gets super hot. So in terms of like cooking inside of your jet boil, like if you did want to do a soup or some kind of pasta or something along those lines, you don't really want to do that with a jet boil, because you will leave that with like caked on food, and it'll burn the shit out of it.
Right.
Where more like yours and like the MSR, the reason why people are kind of switching over to that is because you can do some more options, because that kettle will have such a large base that heat kind of spreads out. You can still judge like how hot it's going, or turn it up, turn it down. So that's just one big thing. Like, I've never once in the 12 years I've used my jet boil put food into the jet boil. Like, not once. I just have to take that bag.
Like, it's solely for boiling water.
If that's all you're
boiling
doing,
water.
You are spending $90.
Like, that's all it is.
Mine was $150 at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys spent on yours, but mine's $150, and you're spending that to boil water in 100 seconds.
Yeah. You're literally like I guess unless you're specifically trying to cook something.
Right.
Like, for the most part, you're just boiling water.
Yeah. But I will say I've also used my jet boil for like water.
Efficient.
Yeah. Well, very fuel efficient, because that fuel's going straight up in the bottom of those coils. Whereas
it's almost like a radiator.
Mine, yeah, it is.
Like, distributes the heat.
Yours and mine, because it's just a burner and it's just wide open on the outsides, we're losing all that heat. Right. But I watched a couple Gear Lab tests on that, and actually it's roughly like 20 seconds different between boiling times. So you would have the jet boil turned up all the way, and you would have like your Mighty Mo or my MSR turned up all the way. It's 20 seconds difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's all 120 seconds versus 100 seconds. So it's really not that huge of a difference to be able to dive into a bunch more foods.
The one thing you want to make sure of is that some cooking, like, or cups or pots or stuff that you get, only the bottom layer has an alloy that can handle that heat and that direct heat, and the sides are a different alloy. So you do want to be careful with what you choose to put on these, and make sure it's like an alloy and doesn't have any kind of insulation or coating on it that is bad for you or
that's right,
can destroy it.
That's right.
Gotta just be careful.
And if you are doing like the pots and the kettles and stuff, I mean, there's aluminum, there's stainless steel,
Titanium.
there's titanium now that's out, and then there's also the food safe like rubber or whatever.
Yeah.
The Sea to Summits are made out of those.
That's crazy.
Those
That
ones
is
are
crazy.
collapsible.
They're collapsible. I'm telling you, bros, it's the future of cooking. They collapse down to like an inch tall, maybe a little less by like the 7.5 inches that they are around. They collapse. I mean, it just blows my fucking mind, man.
Yeah.
That and the MSR Pocket Rocket, you could be at a full cook set at just under a pound. Like, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Because it is something I've always been chasing. Like, I'm still not settled on my cooking, eating setup.
Yeah.
Historically, I've just eaten straight out of the freeze-dried bags. Lately, I've been repackaging into Ziplocs and not bringing any freeze-dried bags and just rehydrate, like boiling water, dumping the freeze-dried food in my mini-mo pot of my jet boil, letting it rehydrate. That's why I have that little koozie that I put it in.
Yep.
And just eating straight out of that. But that kind of causes its own little pain in the ass problems of you have to clean that pot now.
Yep.
And like you can't boil water for coffee or anything else while you're eating.
Yep.
And you have to clean it first. It's been an ongoing, I'm still trying to find the best.
I think
it is a nice feeling to eat out of a cup instead of a damn bag.
Yeah, it is nice. I will agree. And like the bag, you can't get fully dry and everything out of it.
Oh yeah, no way.
And so you're just carry your
Harder to
trash out,
mix
so you carry
everything
that extra
in.
weight out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to think about when you're picking what you're going to cook with. I mean, it's certainly been an evolution for me over the last 12 to 15 years or whatever. There's a lot to consider, but if you are out there that you're ready to get on the trail, I mean, there is no reason why you shouldn't pick up a jet boil, for sure.
Yeah.
Of any kind or variety.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Go get yourself one. You will have it forever, and it will be your kind of, like it has a sentimental kind of, I will never get rid of it, ever.
Yeah, because I feel like even like not backpacking, I'll probably still use that jet boil.
Yeah.
Going camping or just car camping and anything.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jet Boil, give us a phone call.
That's right, dude. We're looking for sponsors.
All right, guys, we know.
Yeah, your marketing worked on us.
Yeah.
We know, what we're going to cook it with.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare these meals, to be eaten, Brad?
Yeah, I think that is kind of one of the hard things is measuring water while you're out there, because a freeze-dried bag will say 14 ounces of water, boiling water, 8 ounces or whatever it is. So having a cup that has markings for the water level that you need, or being able to measure it in some way, it's
very nice.
Even though, like you do exactly what the thing says, it still may not work right.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose some to like vapor and steam and everything. So I always have an extra cup, and normally that's like my coffee cup too, or whatever, tea, coffee. A long titanium spork is very nice to have.
Yeah.
I think Travis has a good story about having a utensil while backpacking,
or
not having a utensil while backpacking.
Oh, when it comes to eating those, because I eat out of the pouches.
Yeah, and that's where like the super long. These are like 8-inch long sporks. They're pretty long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I got all my gear. We went out, and first night I come to find out I forgot my eating utensils. I had nothing, and I had already made my meal, and I'd say I found 20, 30 different ways to eat out of that thing over the trip.
Finding little sticks.
Yeah. Just anything I could. I'd fold up pieces of plastic or whatever, or I'd just suck it out of the bag.
I think ultimately you started just dumping it into your mug.
Oh, yeah. I would dump it in my little tin cup.
Kind of eat it out of that.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Please bring utensils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those little things that you forget that you learn the hard way to stay more organized.
I ended up buying a nice one that it's like this really hard plastic, and it's a spork on one end, and you can pull off the other end, and it's a knife, and then it also has a little fire starter on it.
Oh,
and then
nice.
a little bag.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a little multi-tool there.
What do you do, Patty?
Well, I mean, I do the same thing. I used to have just like a spoon, knife, fork combo thing that you got from Jetboil. And once you start using those freeze-dried bags, I think that's when you really understand, because you're like knuckles and your wrists will get like food on them, because those bags are 8 inches deep, I guess.
Deep.
So
I estimated that.
Yeah, well then I'll go with 8.
Could be a foot.
Sure, yeah, it's certainly long, and so then I made that switch. I mean, I think that's just a natural switch. You can get them; they're super lightweight. They fit into anything, and it's just really nice to have that. Like you just grab the end of it, and you could scoop all the way to the bottom of that bag if that's what you're going to use. Now I will say that I'm switching because I'm going to that kettle. And so now I don't need something that long, but I still think it's going to be great.
They're like, I looked them up. They're $13.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sea to Summit, titanium.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yep, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and you do not want food all over your hands.
No.
You either want to have hands that smell like food while you're walking through the wilderness, or you have extra trash to put in your bag because you just had to clean your hands off.
That's like, cleanup is one of the hardest parts of eating.
Yeah.
So like, speaking of cleanup, we abide by the leave no trace principles pretty strictly.
Yep.
And we also usually bring trash that we find along our way out.
Yep.
So what's some things you guys do to help follow that leave no trace principle?
Dude, first of all, absolutely understand, absolutely agree. Do not leave shit out on the trail.
Do not. It's so annoying.
It's disgusting. It's annoying. It's you're like the Alberts or whatever, those people from that news story. Yeah. They suck, and you would suck if you did it. So for me, it's all about how like I said earlier, I bring a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and I shove that thing in the bottom of my bear canister in my pack somewhere. And as I'm eating, as I'm opening up those granola bars, as I'm opening up those freeze-dried meals or those Ziploc bags that I'm using, or the paper towel that I'm using to wipe out whatever I'm cooking with, whatever it might be, or wiping my sweat with, everything goes in that Ziploc bag. It's easy. It keeps all that stink in, or somewhat in. Yeah. At least it keeps the stink in for me.
Those things get pretty.
Yeah. Well, your bear canister gets wrong.
That's what's nice about having like all these extra Ziploc bags, is you have a lot of trash bags.
You have a lot of trash bags, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my like number one, like that's how I take care of all my food waste. Not just food waste even, but like everything. All my waste. It goes into that. Some trails they're going to have drop off points for that, that makes it glorious.
That's like when you come across a trash can.
Oh, it's the best.
It's almost like finding water
Kobe,
when you're thirsty.
Like, swoop, done, dude.
Awesome.
It's so good.
Get the hell out of my bag.
Most of the time, you do have to cart it all the way around, and that's my big tip, dude.
But that's where it kind of goes into paying attention to what you're packing your stuff in, because you're carrying all that stuff out,
all of it,
and that's where those freeze-dried bags are clunky and thick and kind of just harder to pack back down.
Yeah, don't worry about opening everything. I mean, I think we waited, like I had all my food probably 6 months before the trail, and I just had to like hold on to it. And then like I think 3 days before we were actually leaving, we all got together and repackaged our food, because then you're looking at maybe a week of it being ziplocked up and it won't go bad or anything like that. So yeah, do what Brad said and really pay attention to that and repackage everything. Spend some time getting your food organized, orderly, all that stuff, and you're gonna be off to the races and be a steward of the wilderness that you are in.
I mean, I'm just right there with you on the Ziploc bag thing. I just stuff it all into that, and it's just common sense shit. Pick it up.
Yeah.
Don't be an idiot. It's not that difficult.
Yep.
If you brought it in, bring it out.
Agreed.
So, I mean, it's pretty simple for me in that regard. I'll find a way to get it out, whether it's in that bag or whatever, but it does make it easier because you're going to want to throw that into your bear hanging bag, and the can. So, yeah, you got to...
I normally bring an extra, even if I have a bear can, I'll normally just have an extra dry sack just in case for whatever reason. Because that dry sack, if you have to throw something nasty in it, it's also going to keep everything inside of it because it's a dry sack.
Yeah.
So
And every time you open that son of a bitch.
Yeah. Whew, stinks. It's a unique smell. But I think like one of the reasons you guys always give me shit about like how long I take at camp and everything, but I think part of that is my time in the aerospace industry. I spent like 15 years in aerospace, and it's instilled in you every day of maintaining everything around you. Because think like you don't want to leave a pair of pliers on a plane.
Right.
Like everything has to be accounted for. If you're working on a plane and you have a wrench sitting on the plane next to you, like you get in trouble.
Right.
So that's been instilled in me that whole time. So I think it still lives with me. So everything I do, whether it's like setting up my tent, packing my pack, I try to stay as organized as I possibly can. And I think that helps because like clutter begets clutter. Like the broken window theory, the dirtier things are, the more unorganized, you're more likely to leave shit and forget shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Forget shit when you're going to the trail, forget shit on the trail that you shouldn't forget.
Yep.
So I think just being as organized and orderly, having a system.
You still forget shit.
Oh, yeah. I still forget. Like that's kind of the irony is growing up, my parents like still give me shit today because I would forget they'd buy me a brand new starter jacket and I would forget it somewhere or something.
Oh, we all forget shit.
Yeah. But I think
Like
that's important.
utensils.
Like come up with a system of organizing everything. You know where everything goes. You know where you're going to find everything. And that helps you not leave stuff behind, leave trash behind. Like you know where everything's going to go.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Man, I can't tell you sometimes how far out I've been and still seen trash.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they found it at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. They found like a Miller High Life or something.
There's
That's
trash
true, valid. Okay.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
it
it's like a
sucks.
frat bro who just smashed his High Life and
Yeah.
filled it up in the ocean and let it drop.
I'm glad we covered this topic like in this regard because it is such like an issue, like you know what I mean, and it is like even as an avid backpacker like I am, it is still tough. You just like everything you're taking, you got to come back with, and it's you just like you're saying, the more organized you are ahead of time, the more you have all your stuff weighed out and ready to go. Just be super methodical. Take that time. It's actually kind of fun to be that methodical about something, knowing that you have to survive like this, and you're going to come out of it with everything, and you're going to be golden. That's the ticket.
The hardest thing I have is when I'm eating a freeze-dried meal, if I'm just not particularly enjoying it or I don't have an appetite, like you still have to either carry that food out or eat it.
Yep.
Like leaving it for a bear or wildlife to find at the campsite is it's not a good thing. Yep. So like even that's one of the hardest things I deal with. I'm just like, man, I got to carry like either eat this nasty shit or I got to carry it out.
You got to carry it out. It's going to have some weight.
Yeah.
But even though that's going to have weight, we're going to bring some cooking accessories with us as well.
Yeah.
What do you bring us to augment your cooking experience out there and on the campsite?
Dude, well, for me, it's all about the cup. And then it's also about what you're cooking out of. I'm not going to get into that because we just talked about the kettle and those sorts of things. Yep. But for me, like my favorite little accessory, it's super cheap. You can generally get one for under $20, depending on what you're getting. But they're lightweight. They're indestructible in many cases. But it's your drinking cup. It's just nice to kind of like have something that that your fingers slide into the cup ring nicely, and it stays cool on the outside but hot on the inside because that cup's going to be like your savior. That, like you were saying last week with that hot ass cup of coffee first thing in the morning.
It's your buddy.
I mean, you always have your favorite coffee mug at home. Everybody does.
Yep.
And you get a chance to pick one for the backcountry, and it's just really cool.
I think it's surprisingly hard to find like your cup. the cup that you like.
Yeah, it is.
Some of them like are horrible. Some of them, I've had some that are just don't make any sense why they're made the way they are.
Yeah, it's always those tin ones, those super
Yeah.
thin ones, and they sell them at every outfitter.
Like the handles don't make sense on them.
Well, not just the handle, but the cup gets steaming ass
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
Like it's the worst, and that's the last thing you want out there because you're not generally carrying. I mean, maybe a bandana or the shirt from the night before, or the day before. Fine, but that's
You're
still
not gonna
just
wanna
like
do that.
you don't want to do that.
Yep.
So you got to find something nice and insulated,
Yeah.
but also nice and light because that's poundage.
Yeah.
And if you can, you generally want to find something. My guess would be like you could probably find some of these at under about 6 ounces, something like that.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
10 ounces would be a little more lenient.
I'm not sure how many ounces my cup is, but I have a nice hardened aluminum one, and
Yeah.
it does have copper handles, so those things can conduct heat like a motherfucker.
Fiery.
And so, yeah, if you have something like that, you're going to want to get some sort of insulation between your fingers and
Yeah.
those
Maybe
cup
one of my
handles,
little
'cause they get hot.
thermal bubble wrap things.
Ooh.
Hey, there you go.
Like as a glove or as a wrap around the...
I guess a glove would be a little harder. Probably the cup.
It'd be really light,
Yeah.
though, that glove.
Yeah. But I had my cherished cup that I think I bought at the same time I bought my jet boil. And back when I was still
Oh, Lord.
a novice knotman, before I became a journeyman, I had my cup tied to my backpack on the outside, and I had a knot. Can't remember what knot it was, but it came loose, tumbled down the side of a mountain. So I was an asshole,
Highwayman's
and
edge.
my cup's probably still out there on the mountain, like a dickhead. I felt it was one of those where I kept thinking, like Patty he didn't know I dropped my cup and kept walking, and I was standing there thinking, oh, I could probably get down there and grab it, but that's pretty risky and dangerous.
that is.
Yeah, don't be
Because I
fucking
think it was
around.
like a what do they call it with the rock slide?
Yeah.
Sleet shell.
Shale.
Shale.
Yeah. That would have been dangerous too.
Yeah.
That was very
That's
rocky.
just
So
loose
I
rock.
had to let it go.
Yeah.
It sucks. So
I lost my cup on that trip as well, but it was the airlines.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, jeez.
So, but hey, you know what? As any backpacker enjoys, it's the shopping.
I'm
and the
gonna
gear.
find. I've been
So,
looking
like,
at
it
dual.
just gives me another avenue.
I've been looking
love
at
losing
I've been looking at dual
expensive
wall
things.
titanium cups.
See, I think I'm just going to go with the kettle. I think I'm getting rid of all of it and just going with the kettle.
Oh no,
That's
I
what I'm
gotta
gonna
have.
do.
How big is the kettle?
I gotta have a coffee cup and food.
The one I'm looking at is 2 liters.
Dude, Brad's right. You gotta
Oh,
have a
no,
coffee
he's right.
cup.
I know. Okay, fine. Fuck it. I'm going to get a coffee cup. I'm just so
gotta have a coffee
interested
cup.
in minimizing my weight to this cooking.
Yeah, the kettle
Yeah,
has
yeah.
me. The kettle has me intrigued as well.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
That-
yeah.
It looked pretty cool, the one.
There's
you
some
showed.
pretty cool. So the Sea to Summit collapsible, and then there's Evolved has a cooking pot that looks really neat because it's got a little wooden handle on it. Just kind of looks a little bit more vintage and rustic.
So you can pour it like a teapot?
Yep, it's got a spout, and then it's got a lid that kind of clicks in, so it'll keep that heat in. And at
Nice.
2 liters, like our jet boils are about 1 liter. So at 2 liters, you get a boatload. So there's an opportunity where, like Brad and I were talking, like I would just like make everyone coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I
Make
mean?
a whole pot.
That's
of
right, a whole
coffee.
pot of
Yeah.
coffee or a whole pot of soup, and we can all eat one big pot of soup.
Dude, that would make it so much better than everybody doing
That's
their
right.
own thing. It would be so much more
Starting to
communal
see?
and
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
And I
digging
will.
it.
I'll say one last note to end on.
Yeah.
Our good friend Kirsten, she introduced us to compressed. What do they call them? Compressed towels.
Yes.
They're like little tablets, like little Tums, like Tums heartburn.
No
medicine.
bigger. No bigger.
We're old men, so
Like big
Tums is like
chewable
we're very
tablets.
familiar
Yes.
with Tums.
But don't chew on them.
Yeah. So they're little tablets, and you just pour a few little splashes of water on it, and it turns into a wet wipe.
Yeah, it
And those
expands
things are-
into a whole towel.
Oh, those things
And they're
are
tough.
forking awesome.
3 grown men were blown away on this trail
Yeah.
when we found this.
It was like
When
we
she pulled
were
them out, here,
little
take these-
kids watching a science
We
experiment.
fought against them. Like when she was asking us to
Yeah.
use them, we were like, we don't need these.
I have
tablets.
dude wipes.
Jeez.
I have wet wipes.
Yeah, I have dude wipes. Don't worry, I'm fine. And she's like, okay, fine. And then somebody I think it was him vomiting maybe, needed one.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like, what? These things are huge pieces of paper towel?
They were hot.
Awesome.
All right. Well, shout out to Porta Wipes. No, I don't know what they're called.
Compressed towel tablets.
Compressed towel tablets.
Shout out
our
Kirsten, too.
Yeah, tip of the week.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that was a nice little episode talking about cooking some food out there.
Yeah, we got the food out of the way. Last 2 episodes, food.
Yeah.
I feel psyched about that.
And we're a couple of foodies here. We enjoy good food.
Yes, we do. We are a few foodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a lover of food, yes.
Yes.
Well, other than the shit on a stick
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, when I'm out there, I'm a wild
Travis
animal.
doesn't give a
know?
fuck.
I don't care. I just need it. I'm in survival mode.
But it's extremely important. The stuff we talked about in the last 2 weeks is important.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take a lot of weight, a lot of volume, a lot of space.
And it can make or break a trip.
It could make or break a
Like if you're
trip.
miserable, at least you're going to have a good meal.
Oh, man. And so often has that meal at the end of the day, I talked about it last week, that dinner just makes it like, I feel it's like, okay, everything's fine. I got a beef stroganoff in front of me. I'm going to lay into this thing.
Got some hot sauce, salt and pepper.
Brother, bear.
Don't underestimate the power of temperature.
Yeah.
So the coffee and your meal at the end of the day, it's just so warming and makes you feel good when you're out there.
Yes, it does.
Hell
All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Let's sign off.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening to another episode of Busted Knees and Pretty Trees, and we're going to get out of here. Keep on sauntering.
See ya.